Um, I am curious. I know Steve probably. I don't know if we have Steve. If you're in anybody's office, just wanted to check. No. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. I believe this is our last scheduled committee meeting, and we can talk about if we need to schedule another one based on anyone's questions here. I know there's a few ongoing items that we've been tracking, and Market and Johnson has been going over those things. So I think at this point, I don't know if it's Sam or Tyler. I want to give an update as to where we're at with any closeout documents or items that you guys are tracking.
Yeah, I can jump in.
Okay.
Basically, the biggest thing obviously is the generator, which is still hanging out to be in April, like we've been talking about. Other than that, there's been some minor punch list stuff that I think we've wrapped up. We've got cell block 5 that we'll have to do as soon as inmates take over the new area. We can get into the old. It's just probably a week of work, maybe 2 at most. It's not much. It's kind of getting some duct work and some stuff tore out and replaced. Other than that, closeout O&Ms. We've got, I would say, probably 90% of the O&Ms and the closeout documents stuff put together. There's just a few. I think Sam, if you want, you could jump into if for the owner training. I think we've wrapped up everything on there. Is there anything hanging out there? I think we're good with that. But otherwise, like I said, O&Ms we should be seeing here probably in the next couple weeks to get all those documents over to the county. So yeah, for kind of closeout, really, there was some little stuff that just came up kind of as the facility's been, I wouldn't say being used, but kind of being tested and trained, and some doors and stuff like that that's been tweaked, and we've had no attention back a few times just to fix some stuff, along with Stanley Solutions getting some stuff cleaned up. And I think as of today, everything's pretty much wrapped up. Sam, do you have anything else I missed or misspoke? Sam, we can't hear you, Sam, if you are.
And from our end, we do have a couple of PRs out for pricing. I think I'd mentioned one before was the camera audio. And so we've received some of the pricing as of yesterday, and there's a few questions that are remaining that our design team has to review with the security folks and the cell manufacturer. So that's an item that we're tracking. Another one we had issued just to see what it would take to add additional cooling in the electrical room. It doesn't affect things in the winter time, but there were a few days last summer that it got extremely warm in the electrical room. So we were tracking that. Tyler, I think those were the only 2 pricing items that we had.
Correct. Yep. That should be the last 2 that are out there that are getting reviewed at the moment. And Sam did say that he's having a microphone problem, but he said his the owner training is all complete, and he had nothing else to add either. So,
Marcia here. Why are we still pricing out cameras? What weren't they in the initial? I mean, why are we still looking for more cameras? Is that slow up the process of opening the jail?
So the pricing exercise was specific to the audio. The cameras have been already installed. The request was to see what it would take to add audio recording to the cameras themselves. So they currently record the video. There's a handful that did have the capability of recording audio. But the request by the transition team was to see what it would take to record the audio, because the current facility or the previous facility has that capability. And so that was the request to issue that one. So does
Whose
that make sense
oversight?
or answer your?
Well, it does, but that disturbs me because that means it's going to cost more money. Whose oversight was that? I mean, if we had something that recorded and now we're putting now a brand new shiny and it doesn't record, I mean, that seems like that was a big miss. Is it required?
Yeah, it's
Are we
something.
required by the state to record?
Mm,
Ron
no,
or Jeff,
not that I'm.
Ron or Jeff, do you want to chime in and respond, please?
I'm here. This is Steve. I was in another meeting, but now I'm here.
Hey, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. The Minnesota Department of Corrections does not require recording if we're talking about the cameras and stuff. They don't have a
Mhm.
recording requirement.
Okay, so
But I'm sure
How
the
much-
judges want it, and so does Karen.
but how
Oh,
much
yeah.
more is it going to? What's the cost? And then how long do you have to store it? What's the retention? I mean, there's strings with everything. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Do you have any idea what additional cost, and is that within the budget?
That's what we're still ironing out.
Okay, thank you.
I would make the point, though, this has nothing to do with whether the jail's opening or not opening or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I would just, echo what Ron said. I've had quite a few cases where it's
Hello.
important to have that video. Criminal cases where we've been able to show that, inmates may have hidden contraband and other things in places where you don't want to find them. So anyways, it's important.
All right. So, Steve, before you jumped on, Tyler was able to give a summary of where the closeout documents are at. I think the estimation is about 90% complete. And then outlined, of course, the generator will be tracked, and then the renovation work in the existing jail. So, is there anything you'd want to add for the group?
I guess I'm not quite sure what entails all the 90% and stuff, because I know I've shared with you, Danielle, and then like Tyler, it just seems like for a while the county discovered a lot of the things, even though there was other punch lists that were done. It's like we sort of discovered some other stuff, like our maintenance department and our staff through our transitional training. But I did notice that in between yesterday and then coming in today, that like again now with Stanley, so I'm not really quite sure what's going on here again, but some of the cameras now aren't tracking all the doors the right way. So if someone goes to an intercom, it appears that our intercoms are working correctly, but the camera that was supposed to pop up to show that intercom location either would show a black screen or show up a different camera where before it was working. So we're having issues again with Stanley. So I have to send that back out to it, but I would sure hope that, because the camera system was, my understanding was really designed through like the electrical engineers or whoever you want to call them, through like, Klein McCarthy. So however, this system's not working right, I'm assuming you guys are going to be trudging forward to making sure that this system's working as we expected it. And the same with Market and Johnson, making sure that the system was supposed to be turned over to us in such a fashion that it was supposed to be operating the way as we expected it to operate. So I'm assuming that a good lion's share is going to be backed up by both those, Klein McCarthy and Market and Johnson. Because it seems like I'm saying, I just sort of, I feel a little bit frustrated, I guess, because it just seems like we just keep discovering these things. They get sort of patched, I think is the word I'm going to use. And then the Band-Aid doesn't stay working, so it's, a patch doesn't seem to quite be working quite right. I don't want it patched anymore. I want it to be working. And I know I've vented this before. I had a camera system that's 20 some years old, for God's sakes, and that it had audio because we asked for audio and we got it and it worked. And if it failed, it was fixed right away. And the reason we weren't in this jail is because that Stanley system was terrible. It wasn't working the way it was supposed to at all. We couldn't even train with it, so we stopped. So it
You
really,
still got it in a box somewhere? Did you keep it? Is it in a box somewhere and you can reinstall it? Or did it get destroyed?
the old system,
Yeah, the old
the old
system.
system's in the current jail, like what's over there. But I mean, that's sort of a unique story, Commissioner, but that company doesn't even make cameras. I actually reached out to them. It was our vending machine company for Canteen that sold stuff out of vending machines. The systems were so expensive. I asked them to see if there was a possibility that they could create a system for me, and they did. But so they don't do cameras and stuff like that, but they did it specifically for us because we were a long-term client of theirs since in the 90s.
Well,
But
a good question. Who is going to do the fix and how soon? And you're absolutely right. It needs to be a complete fix. This is brand new, shiny operation. We don't need Band-Aids on it now. 10 years from now, yes, but right now we shouldn't be accepting Band-Aids.
And I agree fully. I think perhaps what we need to do is, I don't know if Steve and Tyler and Sam and I can meet offline and come up with a better system in terms of communicating these items, because you're right, Steve, you're gonna, as you work in there, you're gonna reveal more than what we can observe in our final punch list. So there are going to be some things that are seen as you go through, but those things are under warranty, and so it's important for those to be documented and tracked, and then Tyler and Sam and I can address them as they come up if it's something that the design team needs to address, or if it's truly the contractor that needs to come back and make the fix, because we need it to be working. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say. Kind of same thing, is that if we need to get offline with Stanley, we sure can. I feel like we've been keeping on top on them to be on issues. And anything that does arise, that just to make sure that you're sending something to obviously M&J. So we're going through Stanley to make sure we're tracking and keeping on them to get on site to fix. So if anything, like you said, if something arose that obviously was working yesterday, we just need to know about it as soon as possible, and we'll keep on pushing on Stanley. If we need to have a third or a separate offline meeting, we sure can do that with them also.
Mhm. I don't know if we would
Sounds like
behoove us to have something similar like what we had before, Tyler, with something with the county attorney's office when Alex was involved with it, just to sort of track that along. Or I don't know, what's your thoughts on that too? I mean, maybe Karen, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Alex will be back tomorrow, but he and I work together on this, as well as Paul every once in a while too. So if there's a need for us to sit in on something, or you want us to, be there, yeah, I think it's important to get this addressed. So.
Steve, this is Maureen. I would highly recommend that Aaron Lafee be part of that. He is very instrumental in knowing a lot of the intricacies of what's not going well, what needs to be addressed in the facility.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear Marcia here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Don't slow it. Don't slow the fix process down with involving legal. I'm sorry. Then they're going to get their legal. Let's just get the problem fixed. And then if we need to go to a legal route, that's fine. But don't slow down the fix process with saying you got legal in the room. Keep them in the loop, but
Well, Marcia, we're aware of what's going on. So, I don't think this is a meeting to talk about that right now, the specifics, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's important that we continue to be aware and work with our clients, the county. So, you know, if there's a desire for us to be there, but yes,
Yeah,
you're
be
right.
in the-
We need to
be
be
in
in the
the-
loop. I don't want to be, you know, handed something that we could have addressed, you know, a couple months ago. So,
Right, yes. We all got our property tax statement estimates. I have a lot of angry constituents, so I'm not in the best mood myself. So
yes,
Thank
those
you.
just did come out. Yes. Okay.
season's greetings. Yep.
Yeah, no, and to reassure again, like I said, we have been, when stuff is arising, we're pushing on Stanley to get on it right away. I mean, if they were on doing stuff last Friday, I think after Thanksgiving, doing things last Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I mean, there's been continuous work offline, online, you know, whatever they're doing with it also. So I personally, I don't see where it's like they're not following through with what needs to be done, I guess, just to reassure that we are pushing to keep on them.
This is Steve again. Can you hear me, Tyler and Danielle?
Yep.
Okay, because I don't know, I don't see Aaron Lafee on this, but has Aaron Lafee been reaching out to both of you with some of the stuff with the HVAC systems, like some areas, like in the link? Somehow it was showing electronically, like the system was working at a certain percentage, like a rather quite high percentage, but it was supposedly supposed to be at like 100 or 110 degrees. And when he went out there with a heat gun to check thermal temperatures, it was actually like in the 50s. Not sure if he was able to send that out or if Dan Robertson was able to send that out for maintenance yet, but he brought that up to me yesterday. Because stuff like that, there's some things going on in the building where you can sort of feel some of these temperature differences or changes. And I would think that you wouldn't feel that in this new building, because that's sort of what we went through with the old one. But so if that wasn't, I will make sure that Aaron reaches out to you guys and addresses that right away. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, that I don't know if it seems that this building, the toilets, the water gets drained out of the toilets about almost every week. And I think that that's just really weird. Sorry about that. And I know, like in the old jail, we could have nobody inside of a cell for quite a long time, at least a month, and it would not be drained out in the old jail. So I find that really weird. And I know this has been brought to Winona Heat and Ventilating, but we're still going around and flushing toilets about every week. And there's nobody's even in here just because they start to drain out. I just find that that's very odd. So I don't know if Winona Heat's reached back to like Market and Klein McCarthy or something to talk about some kind of engineering thing or whatnot. But I think that kind of stuff needs to start to be talked to too, because to me, it just seems that that's too odd. Like something's pulling that water out of there. So I know it's a dry building, and I know there's sort of a totality of circumstances that could make those toilets sort of drain. And this seems even odd to be talking about, but I've got 53 toilets, right? So I shouldn't be flushing them unless I really need to flush them, or it's been a long time since they've been used. So I would think a week is too short of a time to worry about that.
Steve,
Those are two other things that I knew that were just sort of like touching on our plate that we've been working with. Maintenance has been working with.
How about the water, Steve? We figure out where it's leaking, where it's going?
From my understanding, Aaron, yesterday, there was not a leak. And maybe Tyler can describe it better, because I don't know really the terminology. I don't know what this tank is really for the water pressure in between the city. There's quite a fluctuation, it sounds like, from the city's water pressure that was causing water to, if my understanding is correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, that it seemed like it was really draining out of the building and then filling back up. So it was just filling back up our building as it was draining out the city's fluctuation. The meter was reading that it was using water, and we were really just filling back up the water that drained out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wish, if Sam's too had his mic couldn't work because he's pretty expert with this, but he did. We talked about this morning. It was basically what he explained. It was the bladder expansion. The tank wasn't pumped to high enough pressure, so the water, it wasn't holding. So it would show water. It would basically, what it would be doing is water backflowing. I wouldn't say backflowing, but flowing past the meter and then back into the building again because there wasn't a high enough pressure in the tank to keep the water from holding its position. Basically kind of, I guess, a dumbed down version of explaining it. So the water, there was no actual leak. It was just water going back and forth across the meter because that tank wasn't at high enough pressure. They have fixed it and everything, got the tank to the proper pressure that it should be holding at. So yeah, there was no actual true leak anywhere. It was a water flowing across the meter back and forth.
So does the city charge us for that water then?
We'll have to talk with the city and see what we can kind of agree to and come across with that. That's something I can get with Aaron and that on that bill. Yeah, so I get, and to reassure some of the stuff, Steve, Aaron hasn't reached out to us yet. So again, I think as long if we can just get a list or anything that comes up with an email, you know, something just right away. If you guys come across something that obviously the sooner we see it in our hands, the faster I can put people on site to get there, work through it and walk through with whatever is going on site. If there is an issue or just some, you know, a faulty item or something, warranty, you know, if we have to get an item replaced, obviously stuff can just fail at some point. So again, if you can just make sure Aaron or whoever is, if they are checking stuff or catching something or seeing something failing now, just please pass that on right away. So we'll get on site and make sure we get on it for you guys right away.
Okay, I appreciate that. Then I just had one other thing too. So I started to sort of mention, so inside of the link, there's the sewer smell that's coming from the link. And so it was later yesterday afternoon, I called Aaron and it was smelt a little bit through there. And then when I opened up I keyed open what I would call the fire room, the water room for the fire suppression inside of the link. It was just almost threw up. It was disgusting. So I felt that the drain was dry in there. So I grabbed gallons of water and poured it down into that floor drain. And it seemed to be better, but I think honestly, I got used to the smell. And so did the other people that were with me. It seemed less potent because when I came in this morning, I don't know if when the sheriff came in this morning, I know he went through the link, it was obnoxious. So it was really pretty bad. So obviously the water, it couldn't have been that. I did not get the time to go downstairs yet or check anything to see if there's a crack in a pipe or anything like that either. But, or if it's leaking up through something down from the basement, like into that tunnel area, but we'll check into that. But there's going to be another issue that needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah, I would just with you talking with the toilets and stuff like that, I would assume that if there's a dry trap, that might not even be known. I don't know if the elevator trap, I can't remember if that goes a storm or not, but there's probably a few in that area that we can walk through and highlight probably on a plan or something to make sure that all the traps are being filled with water and checked, especially with it just being just arising. I'd be very shocked that there'd be a cracked pipe or something like that. I think there would have been a problem kind of since we've been running water and some stuff through there. So.
Well, we had a cracked pipe in the AB, room in between A and B, that multi-purpose room for that drain, if you remember.
Yeah, I think actually there was a trap. I don't think it was actually a true crack. I think WHV had a gasket fitting or something wrong fail.
Yeah, I'm not picking. It might sound like I'm picking on you, and that's not my intention. But I'm just saying that what we thought wouldn't have been in that other spot was. I mean,
Yep. Nope. I totally understand.
Yep. Alrighty, I can't think of anything else right now for myself. But I can tell you, this is wearing on me. This is really, with everybody hearing, this is really wearing on me. My health is taking a shit and everything like that. I know that's not proper language, but this is a lot. I should be back to running a jail and everything like that. I'm not able to run a jail. I can't sleep. And this build is getting to me, Danielle and Tyler. It's really getting to me. And it's not good. So I want that to be out there because it's I can't sleep and all. I want this stuff done. I want it fixed the right way. I want the county to be happy. This product, I was happier than hell going all the way through it and right down here to the end. It's like I just got my legs chopped right out from underneath me. So I'm not enjoying this, and it's really taking me down. we need to get this stuff fixed. We need to get the product that we were always talking about for the county, because the county deserves it, the citizens deserve it, the administration deserves it. And it has nothing to do about me. It has to do everything about 50-some thousand people for the county getting the right product here. So I hope you just really hear what we're asking you to do and getting this stuff done, including the cameras and stuff like that. So,
Yep. That again, if there's stuff that arises, we need to just make sure we're aware of it, so we're not getting blindsided, so we can keep on it. That's the main thing. It's some of these items are brand new today, so if we could keep, like I said, if we can keep information, the communication back and forth, I think we can easily keep this and get this wrapped up as soon as possible.
But this isn't about November 28th. This is going back to, we should have been in October 2nd. So I'm just saying, this is the totality of everything. It's just my opinion. I'm one of many opinions, I'm sure, but this is mine, and I'm living it. This is from my viewpoint of it. So nothing surprised either one of you. I've shared this with you before. There was a date of October 2nd that was picked, and October 2nd should have been pretty close to us being in there, if not completely in there. But let's figure out what we need to do with Stanley, whether it's going to be this offline meeting or whatnot. If we're waiting for Alex to come back tomorrow, then we should do that tomorrow. But that's a very big key component of it, because some of these camera systems and stuff that I'm talking about are for the SD doors. Those are secured vestibules. That means that a dispatch center that exclusively runs and manages those doors would be hearing someone hitting an intercom system, looking at a camera that doesn't work, and has no idea truly who they would be letting into a jail or who they'd be letting out of a jail if they're requesting access, egress out. So that's not good at all. So, but I have appreciated everything that's been addressed and stuff like that. And, as we keep working through this stuff, I just want to really emphasize that we need to get into it. I agree with the commissioner that sooner is better than later, but we need to do this the right way, not just quickly. So thank you.
What I'm hearing is, I think we need another meeting in December. I want to make certain that we're tracking these items and that we're addressing them. So looking at December, I think we had been meeting the last Tuesday of the month, but it's the 26th. So I think a lot of people are going to be out. I'm proposing December 19th at 9 a.m. Does that work for everybody? And I guess if not, we can update the group.
It's good for me.
19th works for me.
Works for me
All
too.
right, I'll work.
David,
Okay.
we have Road and Bridge.
Yeah, I will
What was
likely
that?
cancel that. The other thing I think, well, that's, what is that, 3 weeks away? That's probably fine. I was thinking with the level of frustration that's kind of growing, it might be better to follow up sooner rather than, waiting a month. But
Yeah, you're thinking couple weeks.
I don't need a meeting. I just need to know that these things are being fixed. And again, we don't need to put any more stress on staff than necessary, but it's just got to get fixed. So I don't know if you can just keep us updated through emails or something that we've addressed this, or here's the problem. I don't need to wait for a meeting to know that it's done.
We could do that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either would work for me. Whatever's I'm game for. If we want an email would be fine. Because like I said, some of these are, there's a couple days that we're sitting and we don't hear anything, and we're thinking everything's perfect and it's going great, and then suddenly we kind of get blindsided that there's something sitting out there. So I just emphasize the more communication we have with this is going to help just everyone on it, instead of keeping things and then bringing them all at one time. That's, I guess. So if we need to do a weekly email or something, just updating that these were items we had this week, we surely can start doing that. And because some of these I kind of got caught off guard that I didn't even know they were sitting out there. So like I said, I want to make sure we're doing our damnedest to get everything wrapped up, tomorrow. I want to be out of there as much as everybody else does too with stuff. So good for whatever the best for everyone.
Okay, I do like the idea of getting the weekly updates with this group. Mhm.
Yeah, so I think with
All right.
that, I guess with the weekly update, I guess Steve, if there's maybe we could start with if there's anything you and Aaron have immediately, so we can get that on a log and to address. We can add anything we have. I think that's probably how we could start with it, and then you and I can go back and forth and work on those things in the next couple of days, and then Friday we can have an update of kind of what got recapped or redone this week.
I mean, here I go again. I guess so from off your statement or whatever too, Tyler, I guess I'm going to reiterate to you the same thing I've said to you in the past. Boots on the ground, nothing beats boots on the grounds. So, I mean, like Market and Johnson sort of physically pulled off of this position. I mean, telephones and that kind of stuff. So we're the ones here. So when heat shows up or someone else shows up, guess who's the one that's running around here and doing it? I'm not a construction manager. I didn't build the place. I'm the project manager, the face of the place of what we wanted for Winona County. So yet we're running around with it or having our maintenance department do that kind of stuff as well too. So just having these meetings is one thing, and then having people here that should probably really be tying the shoestrings themselves too is a little bit different. So maybe part of this discussion, as we have this offline discussion, should be really you guys or someone else being here a little bit more often as well too, until really it's what I'm going to call really satisfactory, substantially completed, and then till the project is done. So, because like I said, I think it's wearing. I think it's wearing on maintenance. I know it's wearing on maintenance. I know it's wearing on us. That's just. I'm not trying to put a sob story out here, or whatever. But like I said, it's just. I've said it's not new to you though either, Tyler. Said it to you. So I'm just saying, like by waiting for us to call you, the phone rings both ways, and you could be here as well too. And then you don't have to. You're right here. You can see it. You can see what's happening or the transitions that are either going right or not going right as well. So,
yeah, and I guess the hard thing with it is that it's a specialty, it's a security electronic system that's got to be hands-on, hands used. I can't sit down and go through the training. If I was there and it was working perfect, or if it wasn't working, it's my physical being there isn't going to cure it. But I mean, like I said, we're to do anything we have to do. But I think we do need to rely some on the system getting used. We had an error, getting Stanley on board immediately to wrapping it up and getting it fixed, any little flaw that does arise.
thank you.
Heidi, you're the one that sends out the invites for this?
Yes.
Okay. I was on the phone with Aaron Lafee, and he's not here because he didn't get an invite. I just want to make sure he's on the next one because.
So is the plan to have a meeting? Or is there just going to be email communication?
Oh, did I miss something? I was on the phone with Aaron.
I think the original plan was the 26th, but since it's the day after Christmas, we weren't sure how many people were going to be here, and then it was maybe going to be the 19th.
That's the last I heard.
But then I think it was addressed that maybe weekly email communications would be sent out.
Okay. But like I say, Aaron had some comments that he made to me, but he didn't know about the meeting, so I just want to make sure that he's involved with this too.
Could I suggest that, I mean, I like the email thing. It would be good to have regular, and to this entire group, and including Alex, who's already on the list. But maybe having that meeting on the 19th to kind of say, okay, email's great, but having this conversation like we're having now, I think brings it to the point, brings up these points that maybe people weren't aware of or how important they were. So I would like to still have that meeting on the 19th just to, get everybody on the same page. And if there's some confusion or there's some uncertainty, then we can clear that up.
I would agree, Karn. I think let us know as it happens through email, and then let's set a tentative meeting. We can always cancel if we feel, but you're right. It's good to hear it all together. And I think Pat, are you on the line? Are you on the call? Don't pay the bill until everything's working to our satisfaction.
Yes, I am on the line.
All right.
Okay.
Don't pay the bill till we know everything's working and we have a grace period to know that it's working, because once you pay the bill, you never see these people again. It's been my experience in much smaller projects, but I think the same thing happens here. Thank you.
Well, I do want to say, yeah, Steve, I have been hearing what you've been saying, and this message is consistent with what we've discussed offline. So I do want to work on getting these items resolved. I can see how draining it is. So yes, we will do our part as well and provide any support that we can. Okay. Well, we look forward to the weekly updates, and then we'll get back together and hopefully find some resolution to these items in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.